Hey, I was wondering, what do you think about appropriate texting, phone calling? How many times? When do you contact somebody? What do you think about this? Well, I'm Jacqueline Nichols, and I've been working with singles, as many of you know, for over 10 years. Yeah, can you believe it? Some days I can't. But one of the topics that has been coming up lately is about communication. We're in this crazy quarantine, stay home, getting out social again, transformation time where we've had to communicate a lot differently. We haven't had the usual casual, spontaneous get togethers like we're used to. So, this is something that I think has kind of thrown people off on how to communicate, when to communicate, because it is definitely different and it is a tricky time. So, I've done videos on this in the past, but I've had this question come up recently and thought it would be a really good topic to bring up again. So I want to get your feedback in the comments below as to what you think is the best way and time and communication. And I'm going to share what I think. So together we're going to find some new tips and refresh perspectives on this. Most of all, it's better to communicate than not. Too often I am finding people that are just way too passive. They keep waiting for some big, huge neon sign to say, hey, ask me out. And there are too many times that people are missing communication. Like I had somebody who I had met months and months and months ago, kind of casually asked me out at one point, but really just had a lot on their plate. So I was obviously didn't go out. And then about 6 months later, we started talking again. And I said, hey, if you actually want to go out, you need to ask me out. Because he would talk about, hey, one of these days we should do something. Someday we should do something, but would never say, hey, would you like to go out and go out this weekend or go out on Sunday or go out for, happier on Tuesday, anything specific, any actual invitation. It would always be like, maybe one of these days. And I finally was like, okay, do you want to go out sometime? You need to actually ask me so I know that, or are you just kind of fishing? And he's like, oh, I asked you 6 months ago and you totally turned me down. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't remember that, but we're still talking. So obviously it would be worth the effort to try again. And I think that too often we get in our heads rejection when really sometimes it's just timing. Sometimes it's a miscommunication. So there's that extreme where there's so many months that go by, or passive asking out, and you don't really know if the person actually wants to go out. And then there's the communication where we don't really know if the person is interested or not. I use the philosophy and visual aid for you guys of just passing the ball. If you say something to someone and they are now holding your information, it is their job to then bounce the ball back to you. Now, there are plenty of times that we throw and bounce a dead ball that goes nowhere and we never get the bounce back. Let's just be honest. It's kind of frustrating. Unfortunately, the other person doesn't always realize how it feels to be the person who bounced the dead ball and didn't realize it had a hole in the ball and it went flat. So yes, sometimes we are going to need to bounce an extra ball. Now, if we bounce 2 or 3 balls and the other person is just not really picking up, they're not really receptive. Sometimes they're polite. They'll be like, oh yeah, have a great day, but they don't really answer your questions. Then you need to step back and notice that if this person isn't interested in responding in a encouraging way, it doesn't mean it's negative. It's just they're not getting it. They're not as interested. So again, be very specific. I would like to go out with you on this day or this day. When is the next time you're free? I would enjoy going to happy hour. I'd like to go on a walk. I'd love to go see a movie with you. Like, help paint the picture, because the truth is we kind of want to know what we're saying yes to, but when people are so vague, it's hard to move forward onto that. Now, if you don't hear things, let it go. But if you still feel this draw or connection, it's okay to message in 2 or 3 weeks and check back in saying, hey, I never heard back from you, but you keep popping in my mind. I just thought I'd check in and see how you are doing. Just a sincere check-in. Sometimes it is just a matter of distraction. They didn't get back to you. And as somebody who works with both the male and the female, and I'm in the middle of a lot of these conversations, teeter-totter for sure, I will tell you that cyberspace doesn't always work. So sometimes people really don't get your message. They really don't. They're not trying to be rude. Now, on the other side, if somebody says, hey, I'm not feeling good tonight, I'm not feeling good this weekend, or I'm going to unplug this weekend, the best thing you can do to respond to that is say, I hope you feel better. Let me know if you need anything, and I'll check in with you later on, and let them be where they are. The biggest mistake people do is they assume the other person is lying. They assume the other person is misleading them. They assume the person is distracting some kind of thought or just putting off the possibilities. I want you to really work on not doing this until this person shows you that they genuinely are not interested. Assume the best, because you know what assume means. Let's not make an ass out of you and me. You have to allow yourself a new experience and not bring up the past. Because yes, you might have dated somebody in the past that was a complete flake, disrespectful, didn't follow through with your events or activities you invited them to, or was always kind of putting you off. And I can understand that. But you also have to understand that you're teaching people how to treat you, and you're also learning how that other person wants to be treated. So if somebody needs the weekend off to deal with a migraine, to deal with a work overload, to deal with family stuff, whatever it is, give them the space. I've had times when I am dating someone and I just say, you know what, I need to unplug. I need to just take some time out. And the people that have been the most respectful are the first ones I'm thinking about when I'm feeling better. The ones that wish me well, hope I'm doing okay, and then give me the space that I asked for. They took my words at face value. This is something that we're so often testing the other person. We're checking to see if they're really acknowledging us, if they're really sick, if they really like us, if they really don't like us. And I want you to just throw that junk out the window and let people just be honest until they are not honest. And then you can be like, okay, that didn't work, next person. And also when it comes to text messaging or blocking people, whatever your communication is, give people the respect, just kind of like until you're at a place. Don't text at weird times. Like I have people I talk with at different time zones, and I have my phone set up so that from 10 p.m. until 5:30 in the morning, unless you're on my friends and family list, you won't wake me up. The phone will stay quiet because I, as a business owner, unfortunately get a lot of weird random texts and messages every once in a while, and it used to wake me up. So now I took care of that. That do not disturb on your phone is smart. So take charge on that. But if you are texting someone you are interested in and it is the middle of the night, kind of like anything after 10 o'clock and before about 8 o'clock in the morning, it's just not appropriate because you're coming from either an exhausted place, you might be interrupting their sleep cycle, you might be a distraction that they're not looking for, and it might come out the wrong way. So just kind of think about that. Like you wouldn't make a business call at those hours. You wouldn't ramble some weird message at those hours. So just give yourself that grace. Do not have them wake up to or be thrown off by a random weird message because you were messaging super late. You'd be surprised how many of those I even get. People asking questions about my business at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, why are they texting me at that hour? Like, just send me an email or call me during normal business hours. I mean, there's just a certain level of personal respect. So I want you to think about this. I think good night messages and good morning messages are the ultimate way to get somebody's attention. Just do it appropriately. Just do it at a time that, you know, especially if you find out if they do the sleep thing, do not disturb, ask them if it's okay if you text in the middle of the night. If you don't know them well enough for that, then just don't. Like, give yourself some boundaries because you could blow it from just that weird message. But also at the same time, make sure that you don't give the person so much space that they wonder if you're interested. This is something that I see way too much. So people spend so much energy trying to figure out when the best time is to do things that they forget to actually do it. We think a lot, but we don't always act upon it, or we overact and we don't think a lot. So kind of work on finding what's that happy balance. But most of all, when you're talking to people, make sure they know you are genuinely interested and you look forward to getting to know them better. So this way too, they're not wondering, are they just looking for a friend? Are they, you know, just kind of bored? You know, what is it they are communicating to me with? I think too often we're vague because we're waiting for the other person to say, oh my gosh, wow, you're talking to me. This is so exciting. But really, unless you throw in your own enthusiasm, you're probably not going to get a whole lot back. So give people space, but not too much. Communicate your concerns or curiosities and show respect between the timing of what's appropriate to message someone, because you might lose someone that you really like because you just got them at the wrong time, or you gave them too much rope, or you smothered them too fast, or you didn't realize they were just having a bad day and needed a day off, and that you could regroup on another day. I am Jacqueline, and we're going to keep this conversation going. It is a hot topic and very necessary. But I want you to remember, at the end of it all, as long as the person's coming with a good heart and doesn't have malicious intent to you, understand that when it comes to passion, our desires and our wishes, sometimes all of these thoughts and boundaries and balance just get thrown out the window. When you really like someone, you can't hold back. And I wish you all of that kind of enthusiasm and excitement for true love-filled possibilities. And let's keep talking about this, but let me know in the comments below what it is that you feel are the right ways that you've responded to communication.